Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Payton Todd, and if you're watching this, you're watching the very first YouTube video on my channel, and I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for the love and support, for the kind words, the encouragement, and everything for me to make this video. I would not have done it without you guys, so thank you so much for supporting my husband and I. It genuinely means the absolute world to us, and without that, we wouldn't even be sitting here talking about this. So thank you so much. And with that being said, welcome to mine and my husband's infertility journey. So background on my husband and I, my name is Payton and his name is Tyler, and we have been trying to conceive for about 2 years. And this is pretty much just going to be the process from when we knew that there was an issue wrong with my fertility and to where we're at in our process. So in this video, I will be answering questions, and along the way, I'll be touching bases throughout the whole process of what's been going on. So to begin with the first question, it was, when did I first find out that there was an issue with my fertility? And the only memory that genuinely sticks out in my mind was when my husband and I were living in South Carolina at the time. We were newly engaged and we were just in awe of the idea of having a family and having babies and starting that next chapter and that next process in our life. So I noticed that there was something wrong with myself in general, because during that time I had not gotten a period within 5 months. So for me, it was just alarming because I was always told that if I didn't have a period that I'm not ovulating and all of that. So it just really worried me. And while we're here trying and all that and nothing's happening, it became a huge, heavy weight on my heart. And I just remember sitting down talking to my husband about the fact that I genuinely thought I was infertile. Days I would cry myself to sleep thinking about the fact that I could possibly not get pregnant. It broke my heart, and it really just put a strain on myself about the fact that I just was not in tune or in sync with my body. I did not know what was going on. My periods were irregular. I wasn't ovulating. We were trying and nothing was happening, and it just became a ball of just stress and depression. And the whole background on my irregular periods, I've been having them for as long as I could remember. I don't even recall a time looking at a calendar and being like, okay, I'm supposed to start my period on that day. It's always been a surprise. It's always been, oh, I wonder if my period's gonna come this month or if it's not gonna come this month, and just genuinely being on edge with it. So that was pretty much when I found out that there was something wrong. The next question was, when did we talk to our family about wanting to pursue infertility medications or treatments? And for me, I've always been openly talking about that with both sides of our families. It's just something that I was really intrigued with. It was something that blew my mind that they had medications and things that they can do to get people who have issues getting pregnant, to get them pregnant. It was something that literally was just amazing to me that there was even that kind of technology available. So I just remember talking to them about it, and not gonna lie, like, both sides of our family were pretty on the fence about it, but overall they were just happy that we were wanting to take that next step, and they were happy that we were wanting to pursue having a family, and they were just so amazing and supportive about our decision of wanting to possibly begin that process. Leading on to the next question, it was, when did we actually see a fertility specialist? That was probably in December of 2017 is when we saw our actual infertility doctor. That appointment was just getting to know each other. She was asking us questions about if we smoke or drink, if we exercise, how often we exercise, if we eat unhealthy, all of that. But the number one question that she asked us that was the most important was if either of us had had appendicitis. And the reason why is because if you're a female and you had your appendix rupture in your system or in your body, it could cause severe damage to your fallopian tubes. It could cause them to block, it could cause them to scar, or ultimately just get clogged. And for Tyler and I, we both had our appendixes removed, but unfortunately for me, mine had ruptured. So when I had told my doctor that, she was just so concerned about the fact that maybe that's the reason why we hadn't gotten pregnant, it's just my fallopian tubes were clogged, or there was just something wrong going on. So she had scheduled me for a procedure, and this procedure was something I had never heard before, and I was nervous and scared, mainly because I was going to be awake and I would feel everything. But all it was that they took a catheter and inserted it into my uterus, and on the tip of the catheter was a balloon the size of the tip of your pinky. And what they do with that balloon is they will inflate the balloon inside your uterus, and they will inject iodine. So during that process, they will be taking x-rays, and they are checking to see if the iodine will go in through the fallopian tubes or if it will just stay in the uterus. So if it goes through the fallopian tubes, that means that they are opened, and if they are just the iodine's in the uterus, it means that my fallopian tubes were clogged. So during this process, it was probably one of the most painful things I have actually been through. It was so painful, I almost passed out. I was so nauseous, I was cramping insane, and it genuinely hurt. And ultimately, we got the test results back that day, and both of my fallopian tubes were open, which were a huge weight off of our shoulders, because we know now that there's nothing wrong with that main part of having a baby with the fallopian tubes. The only issue that she did find with them was that the left fallopian tube had taken more iodine than the right, but ultimately the right did take some. So she did consider them to be open. So after that small procedure is when we actually got into the whole infertility medications and pursuing those steps. So what I had done in the month of January was my blood work month. So what I did was, when I had gotten my period in January, I would go to the doctors and get my blood work done or drawn on the first day of my cycle, day 3 through 5 of my cycle, and day 21. And the only reason why I had to get that done was just to see if there was anything wrong with my body, if there was any diseases in my body that I didn't know of, if there was any cancer cells in my body, or if there was any weird things pretty much going on, but to also check to see if I had any mature eggs and to see if I had ovulated. So after that month had passed, I got my results back and everything was perfect with my body. There was nothing wrong with it. The only concern that she had found was my ovulation. I had ovulated on day 21 of my cycle in January, which is not normal for most people. When a typical cycle is 28 days, you ovulate on days 20, or not 24, you ovulate on days 14 through 15. For me to ovulate on day 21, she just thought it was weird. She just wanted me to know that I ovulated later than most people, which I had figured because, again, my periods were super irregular. In the month of February, we decided that we were going to wait until March or April to begin medication. And during that time of waiting to begin the process of taking medication, Tyler was also getting his test done. But we had an issue come up to the point where Tyler and I were trying, and we genuinely thought I was pregnant because I was taking pregnancy tests, and they were coming up positive with the faintest line. And I remember sending pictures to friends and to family, asking them if they saw this freaking line. And all my friends and my family said, yeah, I see it. Like, it's there, but it's not like pigmented, like it's not pigment. Like the second line wasn't as vibrant as the other line. It was just the lightest, like, faint line. And I remember it was starting to really irritate me that my tests weren't getting darker, so I went to the doctors and I got blood work done. When I had gotten the blood work done, they told me that they can either hand me the results 30 minutes after, or they can just give me a call. So I figured I would go back to my car, wait, and then go pick them up. And on my way to the car, I got a call from the blood office in the hospital that had taken my tests, and I picked up the phone, and all I heard was the most happiest excited voice ever, which was, "Oh my gosh, Miss Todd, oh my gosh, Miss Todd, you're pregnant, congratulations." And never in a million years have I felt life hit me so hard in the face. It was just like my body went into shock. I was just standing outside my car, like could not breathe. And I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yep, I'm reading your results right now. Everything looks great." I was so ecstatic and so happy. I called my family. I called Tyler's family. I told them the big news. I was just blown away by the fact that we were just beginning the process of infertility medication, and here I am being told that I'm pregnant. And 10 minutes after I had gotten off the phone with my sister telling her she was going to be an aunt, I got a call from the blood work office. And I remember picking up the phone, and she sounded so upset. She felt like she was more mad at herself than anything, and all she told me was, "Miss Todd, I know you're gonna be mad and you have every single right to be, but I had read you somebody else's results." And again, same thing, life hit me so hard. I was just told that I was pregnant, and now I'm being told that my results came back negative, and it was another individual's test that came back positive. I did not know how to feel at the time. I was just so mad at the fact that your job is to get the right information and pass it along to the person who needs it. And for me, you read me somebody else's results when we were just getting started in the whole infertility process. I remember I just hung up the phone. I was so mad, and I called Tyler and I told him what happened. And that's kind of when we decided, like, you know what, this is for sure something that we want to do. So after that, we decided to begin our IUIs, or the process of infertility medication. So for me, I had the options of taking 2 medications, which were letrozole or Clomid. They're both fertility medications, and all they do is help the follicle grow. So the follicle is what the egg is inside, and it helps it grow to a mature size for ovulation. My doctor did recommend that I were to be on letrozole, so I did do letrozole. I'm not going to get into too much detail about my IUIs ultimately because they all had failed. So I'll just be talking about the gists of my IUIs and the process that we went through with IUI. But before I get into that, a question that I was asked was, why did we pick IUI? Why didn't we go through IVF? So ultimately the reason why we went through IUI was because our insurance covers it. Not covers the whole thing, it covers a good majority of it, like 99% of it. The only thing that our insurance doesn't cover with IUI is the wash, and I'll get into that in a minute. But for instance, like IVF or a surrogate or any of that, our insurance in particular doesn't cover medications for IVF. It doesn't cover any of that, and IVF is way more expensive than IUI in general, but there is a higher percentage of getting pregnant with an IVF than there is with IUI. So again, we went with IUI because that is what our insurance covered, and we weren't at the time going to pay out of pocket, say about 10 grand, 15 grand to do an IVF when we could just try IUI pretty much for free. So that is the reason why we decided to go with that. The processes of my IUIs. So every cycle I would have to take medication, and every medication days I would take were days 5 through 9. And again, all it is to boost my follicle to make sure that they are at a right size, that they're good for ovulation. Once we had gotten a right size follicle, we would go on to the trigger shot, which, if you don't know what a trigger shot is, it is an HCG shot that you inject into your stomach, and pretty much all it does is jumpstarts ovulation or gets your body to ovulate. So after taking the shot, you will be ovulating between 24 to 36 hours. And for me, that was so cool because I was able to know when my body was ovulating. I was able to know like what was genuinely going on. So when we were doing IUIs, The trigger shot was definitely my favorite thing because I thought it was so cool that I knew when I was ovulating, because I never knew when I was ovulating. I never had a positive ovulation test before any of that. So after the trigger shot, they will schedule you for your IUI. If you don't know what an IUI is, it is intrauterine insemination, and all it is they will take the male sample that he provides, put it through a wash, and with that wash, they pull the best swimmers from that batch. And once you have that batch ready to go to proceed with your IUI, you will get ready and your doctor will insert a catheter into the uterus, and she puts it close to the fallopian tubes so that the sperm will have a closer swim to the egg instead if you were to try naturally. And with the best swimmers pulled, because you produce millions and millions and millions of sperm every single time, TMI I know, but you produce so much and only some of them are even good. Like most of them die throughout the process, or they're not fast or whatever, so they pull the best of the best, which is insane to me that they're even able to do that. Literally pull, it's mind-boggling. It's crazy. So once the catheter is in and ready for IUI injection, they would put the wash through, and there you are. You have your IUI cycle and you are in your 2-week wait. So for me, I had done 3 IUIs. I had done 1 cycle medicated with no IUI, and then 1 unmedicated cycle. And again, they all had failed. It was just insane to me being told that the more you do IUI, the higher the chance of you getting pregnant is. So initially you start off as a 20% chance getting pregnant with your first IUI, and from how my doctor explained it, when you reach about IUI 5 or 4, you are maybe in the 60th percentile of getting pregnant. And the fact that I've had 3 failed ones, it just made me really think, like, okay, like maybe my body isn't meant for this. And again, went way back to the point where in South Carolina, I was just starting to doubt my body. The reason behind I had to do a medicated cycle but with no IUI was because I switched my medication from letrozole to Clomid. And when I was on Clomid, I was super excited and eager because I read so many great things about that medication. I've had many people tell me success stories about themselves on Clomid who have gotten pregnant, and I figured, why not give it a try? It's something that I've always been wanting to try anyway, so why not? And also another plus thing about Clomid is that your chances of conceiving multiples is higher. So normally a woman's chance of conceiving multiples, which are twins, triplets, whatever, is about 5%, I believe. It's either 5 or less than 5%. On Clomid, your chances of conceiving multiples is 10. So for me, I've always wanted twins. Again, if I were to even get 1 baby, it's a blessing in general. So either way, I'd be happy, but I figured, how awesome would that be if I were able to even have twins throughout this process? Because I switched my medication from Clomid, and Clomid just really thinned out my uterus lining, which if you have a thin uterus lining, your chances of your egg sticking for implantation is very, very rare. So mine was at a 4mm lining, and it should have been to an 8 or 9. On to this last cycle that I had to do unmedicated. I was upset that I had to do it unmedicated. I was so upset that I had to just have my body do its thing and let it be. The reason why is because Tyler and I's infertility issues isn't that we don't have eggs or we don't have sperm. It's the fact that I don't know when I ovulate, because again, I have very irregular cycles. And the fact that I'm just letting my body do its thing, not knowing if I'm gonna ovulate, and I could go months without ovulation, or I could ovulate sooner than most people, but if I ovulate sooner, then like my follicle would not be mature enough or would not be the right size that it needs to be, and just so many things were running through my head. And I just remember this last cycle, I really doubted my body and its ability to actually perform like how it should. Ultimately, I did ended up ovulating on my own. And for me, that was the biggest accomplishment that my body could do, because never in a million years would I think that my body could ovulate on its own. I thought it was awesome that I had this trigger shot that made me ovulate, but here I am having a trigger, like a trigger shot is making me ovulate, yes, but having my body ovulate on its own was just a huge accomplishment, and I was just blown away over the fact that I was able to do it. So we are currently in that 2-week wait, so we shall see. If anything changes, you will definitely know. On to other questions. Where are we now in our process? And right now, Tyler and I had both decided that in our process and where we're at, it's probably best that we just get off medication. And the reason why we decided that we think it's best for me to just take a break from the medication and let my body do its thing is because, one, if my body can ovulate this month and we don't end up getting pregnant, I can ovulate again next month. Now I have faith and hope that my body is able to do what it needs to do. But one of the main reasons why we decided to just not want to do medication for the next 2 months is the fact that I really needed to give my body a break. And that's because of the hormones that were in the medication. One thing I don't think a lot of people talk about while on infertility medication is the side effects of it. There's so many, and for me, the one that hit me the hardest was depression. I am one of the most happiest people that I know. I'm always smiling. I always see positive situations in anything. I can make a bad situation good, and it was just, for me, I'm just happy. And for me to be on these medications, even though they were amazing and helped my body get into a schedule and a cycle that it needed to be, the hormones just really messed with me to the point where I was crying all the time for no reason. I was taking anger out on friends and my husband, and the fact that it really did make me depressed. I would lay in bed for days and not get out of bed. I would sleep all day and I would just be miserable. I contemplated a lot, like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? Like, really, like, giving up on it, but not. So for me, it just made me the most depressed I've ever been in my life, and I don't want to go back to that right now. I've been so happy and enjoying how my life has been without medication, and I've been enjoying having fun with my husband and getting back to how I used to be, and I just genuinely don't think my body right now is capable of going through that strain and through that stress and the what ifs, and we've done this many IUIs and we haven't gotten pregnant. And for me, I just don't think I'm ready to get back onto it. That doesn't mean that we're not gonna get back onto it. If we don't get pregnant within these next 2 months naturally, definitely we'll be going back on medication, but we just want to give my body a break and see what my body is able to do, see what she's capable of doing, and letting her do her thing, because it's so nice right now to know that she's on the right track and she's doing everything that she needs to do. One question I was asked was, what was the hardest part of this journey and what made me so strong? Like I said, the hardest part was the depression of the medication that I was on, not getting out of bed, literally not eating for days, and just like being a zombie pretty much is how I can best describe it. I just didn't see a purpose for it anymore, and I started to lose hope a lot. Another thing that really was the hardest part was the fact that there was a failed after failed after failed IUI, and it just made no sense to me, and again made me lose hope, because we're putting in this time and effort to get pregnant and it's just not working, and why isn't it working, and what if this and what if that. It was just super hard and super draining, and I just don't think anybody should have to go through that. The struggle, the what ifs, the crying, all of that. Like, nobody deserves that, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's gonna be worth it. You're gonna have a baby, and you're gonna look back at it and think, wow, all of this was so easy while you're holding your baby in your arms. The other question was, what has made us so strong? Just the love and support that we've gotten. The fact that so many people want to hear this. The fact that so many people are excited about what's going on and want to know, like, what our next move is, like how we feel, like we're blown away by the love and support that we've got. And I can't stress that enough, that we are just so grateful for it, because never in a million years would we think that we would have this big of a support system. Other things that made us strong through it, for me personally, was my husband and my friends and family. My husband has been the absolute best to me throughout this whole process, literally laying in bed with me while I cry for hours and telling me it's okay, it's gonna happen, you just need to believe in it. The fact that my husband went through what I went through and he understands it, and the fact that he loved me regardless, the fact that he held my hand through every step, he walked me through everything, and he was what I leaned on when I fell. And I couldn't have done it without him. Without him, I don't know what I would have done or how I would have reacted. As long as, like, my friends and my family, the support that they've given us, it's just so crazy to me that we have so much love and support. It just, I can't even put it into words. But another thing too is just the fact that we know we're gonna be parents. We know we're gonna get pregnant. We know we're gonna get the first kicks, and we're gonna get the first, like, cry. We're gonna be able to hear all that and experience it and feel it and go through it. We know that. Right now, it's hard because we don't know when that's gonna happen. But ultimately, we know. We are just super eager and excited to become parents, and we just can't wait. And we know God has a plan for us, and we are just, again, so excited for that to happen. We're so excited to meet our baby that we've been trying for so long, that we already love, and we don't know who it is, what it's gonna be, any of that. But we're so grateful for each other, for our friends and our family, and the love and support that we've gotten. So with that being said, that concludes the video. I am so sorry that this is so long. I tried to just do one cut because I don't really want to edit, but I'm probably gonna have to. But again, thank you so much for watching. I plan on making videos regarding infertility, maybe daily vlogs, just things that I think you guys would like to see. I'll ask you on Twitter what you guys want to see, and then I'll make videos. But I do plan on making videos every Mondays and Fridays. This is going to be uploaded either Tuesday or Wednesday. But again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the love and support. We appreciate it so much, and we will see you next time. Bye!